Terrific.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brad Lewis with Premier Life and Annuities. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. Joining us on the call today is Craig Rodemaker, our Regional Vice President with Legacy Marketing Group. Craig is with us today to share the 13 things you're missing out on. So I'll turn the call over to Craig and he'll take it from here.
Hey, thanks so much, Brad, everyone at Premier, for allowing this presentation today, and happy holidays, everybody. You know, I've got a lot of material to cover here today. I'm going to try to do it as quickly and as efficiently as I can. The phone lines are all muted, so you're not going to be able to actually interact today. But if you do have a question, I'm going to put the phone numbers up at the end of the presentation to call Brad and our friends over at Premier to kind of clarify. So you might want to grab a scratch pad, some paper, and if something is confusing to you, which isn't all that unusual, just write it down and give us a call, and we'll be sure to follow up. But anyway, Brad mentioned the 13 ideas. I call them zingers. I've had some success with this in the past because agents are like, what are you talking about? Where do I find that? So I'm just going to run through the laundry list here quickly. Are you able to offer your clients a 10% roll-up rate? Did you realize you can do that at Legacy? An 8% annual point-to-point cap, or even a 3.1% monthly cap. That's right. We have caps and rates that are off the charts and holding, by the way. It appears all of December and possibly into January. How about earning a 7% commission on your next sale to an 84 or 85-year-old? We offer that as well. We have a pretty cool product, a newer product that will attract a younger client, help you get into the maybe the pre-retiree demographic if you'd like to. How about offering a strategy that credits 6% to your client if the S&P raises any amount whatsoever? And number 7 is the one you might have a real interest in because it's more steered towards you. How to get reimbursed for your costs of doing business. We'll help you pay for your marketing expenses. And I'm actually going to lead with that one. That's the next slide, actually. How about looking for a great deal to help you set up an annual client review? Because most of our best agents realize the value in annual reviews, which uncovers additional funds. And I've got a tool and a sales idea around that for you. How about a simple annuity like we had in the good old days? I want to talk about that as well. And how about a carrier that will accept inherited IRA funds? Basically, that's a stretch IRA that's been stretched. We have a home for that money. And if you're looking for a solution around Social Security claiming, which is all the buzz these days, how about a little bridge to bridge that gap from age 65 to 70? Got a sales idea for you on that. And then the rule of 115, which I'm sure you've probably never heard of. You might want to put it in your sales presentation if you're doing seminars or whatever. I'll cover that. And then I'm going to close offering what I think is our best solution when it comes to both accumulation and income planning. I mean, usually you had to find one or the other. I've got a tool and a product that basically does both. So with that in mind, let's jump right ahead and get going here. At Legacy, some current events, if you will. First of all, our carrier partner, F&G, we build several products for F&G, exclusive to Legacy and exclusive to your Premier contract with Legacy. They announced in October they were raising commissions 50 basis points across the board. That's 0.5%. It wasn't going to run until year end, but I just learned it's going to be extended through at least January, probably through first quarter. So watch for more news on that. But that's terrific news because we already had pretty significant commissions available, and now they're actually increased 0.5 point. On top of that, if you happen to live in what we call one of the, the light states, those are states like Florida or Texas or Utah or Washington. In the past, your commission rates were lower there because the products were diluted to some extent. Well, I'm happy to report that we've raised commissions in all of the light states to equal all the other states. So if you look at that little graphic there, we actually took an Advanced Mark Ultra 10 from 5 3/4 to 8% commission, and our Spectrum Mark LT from 6 3/4% all the way up to 9% commission. So that is a permanent change. So with the additional bonus from our friends at F&G, comp is not a question at Legacy these days. It's very, very, very good. Now, how about your marketing efforts? Let's talk about you for a second. If you're like many, your costs of doing business are probably going up. It's more expensive to do your marketing, your mailers, you're buying your leads, your seminars, whatever it might be. And in some cases, with some carriers, your commissions are actually reduced. Not a very rosy picture. So would you like some good news? I have a lot of good news this holiday season. We at Legacy want to put some marketing dollars back in your wallet. We want to stretch your budget. We call it Money for Marketing. It isn't exclusive. Our friends at Premier are happy to promote this in partnership with Legacy. And here's how it works. We want to help you pay for your marketing in exchange for doing a certain amount of premium with Legacy within a 90-day window of that activity of your invoice. So basically, we're going to reimburse you 25 basis points of your premium up to the entire amount of your marketing effort. So let me give you an example here. Let's say you drop a 3,000-piece mailer. It costs 50 cents each. So you just invested $1,500 in your practice. And then within 90 days of that mailer, the invoice sent to us, you write $250,000 of premium with Legacy. Well, that is the minimum amount to do. 25 basis points, and that is $625. That's the check you get in the mail. We basically brought your marketing costs down significantly. But wait, let's say you do a little better. Let's say instead you do $600,000 in premium in that 90-day window. Well, now your check's going to be $1,500, which basically covers your entire cost of that 3,000-piece mailer. So that's how it works. Pretty straightforward. Again, just first thing to do is, of course, invest in your practice. Get an invoice for whatever it is you're doing. Secondly, send the invoice to Legacy. We will track it automatically for you for the next 90 days, and then voila, checks come in the mail. So what qualifies? Well, it's pretty creative. You can be pretty creative. Just about anything that's marketing related. We have one producer that did a client appreciation event and provided each member in the audience a pie, a pumpkin pie for attending. Send us the invoice, and we paid for all those pies. So you can be pretty creative. You just got to send in the invoice, and then you got to write some business with Legacy. Now, let's say you do some marketing. You're in front of a bunch of people. You fill your seats, whatever it is you do. What are you going to sell? I want to talk to you about our fastest growing in terms of sales product at Legacy. It's called Liberty Mark, a whole series of Liberty Mark products, all on an A-rated carrier, Americo. But this is all about accumulation. With the Liberty Mark series, there is no income rider. It's all about performance, about accumulating money. How do we do that? Well, again, it's got a dual premium bonus, not one, but two premium opportunities. I'll share that in a second, or not premium, bonus opportunities on the premium. 7 strategies where the money can be allocated, and 4 of them are absolutely uncapped on the upside. But we got your downside covered too, because it's got the strongest minimum guarantee in the industry. It's actually 1% on 100% of the deposit. And if some of you folks have been around 10, 15, 20 years ago, that was commonplace. Everybody had 1 on 100 at the minimum. I don't know anyone else that does today, but we do. Now, how do we provide all these goodies to you and your client? Well, we optimize. We actually use what we call an optimizer fee. It's a small fee associated with the contract. Comes right out of the account value to help buy an upgrade, to get all these goodies for you and your clients. In addition to our regular 10-year product, we also have a short 7-year version of the product, and that also has an optional bonus if you like the bonus ideas. Full commission due the writing age all the way through age 80. The product goes to age 85, but full commission to age 80 with no MVA to have to explain. So there's your laundry list, your bullets, if you will, of the sizzle inside Liberty Mark. Word, choice. People like choice. That's why there's so many different cowboy boots out there. Well, what do we have with Liberty Mark for choice? Well, we got the 7-year product, and you have a choice of a premium or not. The commissions are up to 7% street level. And then we have a 10-year version of the product, and that's the one that has an optional, not 1, but 2 premium bonus feature, and that commission's all the way up to 8%. I'll go over that in a little bit more detail. Now, this dual bonus is huge. I mean, I don't know anyone else that has something like this. And imagine presenting this to your client. Here's how it works. 5% immediately. It's an upfront premium bonus, whatever the deposit is. And then a 10% persistency bonus in year 10. Now, in some states, like those LT states, Texas, Florida, Washington, whatever, the back-end bonus is 8%, but in most states it's a 10% back-end bonus. But it's a bonus on the accumulation value in the 10th year. It's not 10% of the premium. It's 10% of whatever it grows to in 10 years. So 5% up front, 10% of the account value in year 10 Well, 5 plus 10 is certainly going to be bigger than 15 because you're going to have growth in the contract. This is just huge. I mean, think about the ramifications of something like this. Now, in the 7-year version of the product, similar story as far as optional bonus. You can have a bonus or not. But the way the bonus works here, it's a 5% bonus at the end of the 7 years. And again, it's 5% of whatever the account value is in year 7. No upfront bonus, but 5% on the account value in year 7. That goes all the way out to age 85. Now, that version with the bonus pays 6% commission to you, the writing agent. But all this on a short 7-year chassis. Now, I mentioned the guarantee is a big selling feature. I kind of spilled the beans. It's 1 in 100, which is just phenomenal. I mean, really, in today's market, that's phenomenal. And by the way, that optimizer fee, which buys us all these goodies, that fee doesn't come out of the minimum guarantee. Your absolute net worst case scenario, if the market tanks for 10 straight years, well, if you put in 100 grand today, you're going to have at least $110,000 plus at the end of 10 years. So 1 in 100, 100 turns into 110,000 in 10 years, worst case. Now, the other thing is the fee we charge, we can't charge more later on. Once you're in, you're in. The fee can't be increased for any reason for the life of the contract. And then this offers, it's the only product at Legacy, but it has a 5x5 annuitization, kind of unique again in our industry. You can hold this product for 5 years, and then over the next 5 years annuitize, and you can be in and out within a short 10-year window. I don't know why anyone would do that, quite frankly, because the growth is spectacular, but it is an option if you need an exit strategy. Now, this 1 in 100, maybe a graph would be a better way to illustrate the difference here between us and the other guys out there. The other guys are in red, we're in green here in this. Most other carriers, their minimum guarantee is usually something like 1% on 87.5% of the money, which everybody has a hard time explaining. That's the red line. Our minimum guarantee is 1 in 100, and that's the green line. So we have a nice little piece here. In fact, those other guys, it would take them 23 years to catch up and match our guaranteed minimum value in year 10. I mean, that is really a mouthful. So I hope you appreciate that and incorporate that into your practice. Other tools we have, many online, many from Premier that you can get your hands on. I like this one because it shows the diversification within Liberty Mark. Remember, there's 7 places to allocate the money, everything from S&P to gold to real estate to inversion, all kinds of things. And this shows basically the last 10 years and which one of those would have done best. That's what's in the green color. And as I mentioned, one of the strategies in this product is what we call an inversion strategy. If the market goes down, you go up. That's how it works. And if you look at 2008, when the market went down 38%, if you would have had money or some of your money in that strategy, you would have had a gain because it credits losses in the market. It's kind of like a hedge or that kind of a hedge play, if you will, to protect. Maybe 5 or 10% of the money goes into that strategy. But it's a nice graphic. It helps that point of sale for the consumer to see all the choice within the product. Now, the other feature is the death benefit. Not 1, not 2, but 3 death benefit formulas, and you get the greater of whichever one if death were to occur. There's full account value, there's guaranteed minimum value, and there's actually return of premium. So this graphic just shows a hypothetical of, if a client died in 6 months or year 1, year 5, or year 10, what would be their net number to the beneficiaries. And again, it just takes the greater of any of those 3 columns. Now, this fee, let me help you with understanding how this optimizer fee works, because it's an annual fee taken right out of the account value to basically buy the upgrade, to get higher caps and rates, to get the dual bonus, to get all these things, uncapped strategies, the strong minimum guarantee, superior death benefit. All of that's afforded because of this small fee. Now, how much is the fee? If you like the 10-year surrender charge product, the fee is 1.25% annually. The 7-year, the shorter surrender product, the fee is 1% annually, right out of the account value. And that's all there is to it. Now, in addition to that, we more recently introduced the big brother of that product. It's called Liberty Mark SE. The first product was Liberty Mark. Now we have the SE series. Now, it didn't replace the first group of products. You actually have 2 to choose from. Now, what is the SE? Well, it's absolutely everything I just explained. It's just that for even higher caps and rates, a slightly higher fee. So now the fee is $175 on the 10-year version, or 1.5% on the 7-year version of products. In other words, the fee is 50 basis points higher, but you get even remarkably higher caps and rates, but the same strategies, the same bonuses, same guarantee, same comp, everything else is identical. So is it worth it? Well, I think so. Here's all the strategies on the left. The original version of the product is in the center. That's the 10-year version with the 1.25% fee. And then on the far right is the SE version of the product with the slightly higher fee, but much higher caps and rates. So you just look at the top one, the annual point-to-point with a cap. We could have a cap of 5.5 or a cap of 6 3/4. The third one down, the risk control strategy, that's our low volatility index. Uncapped, 90% of whatever it does on the original version of the product, or 110% participation rate on the SE version. Even, third from the bottom, the real estate one, I really kind of like that one. That's my personal bias, if you will. 70% of what that real estate index does on the original version of the product, uncapped, or 85% of what the real estate strategy does on the SE version of the product. Now, those are current rates effective the month of December. I just heard yesterday from the mothership, Legacy, that rates for the Americo line of products, the Liberty Mark, are holding for the month of January. So these rates are what you're going to see for quite a while here. Just phenomenal rates. Remember, 4 of these 7 strategies are totally uncapped. Now, real estate, I mentioned I kind of like that one, so let me share with you why I like it. First of all, it has some diversification because, again, it's not correlated to the S&P. I mean, we have S&P options in the product, but this is kind of a way to mix and match a little bit. Regardless of what the real estate does, you've got a floor, 1 on 100 is the worst case. And I think emotionally the real reason I like it is because if you ever have owned real estate yourself in the past, like land or apartment buildings or whatever, people have an interest in that as an investment, but they hate the headaches. The calls in the middle of the night that the plumbing isn't working. Well, here's a way to kind of be in real estate without having to be in real estate. These are more corporate mortgages and REITs and office buildings and that sort of thing. And again, they're managed funds, so no involvement from the client there. Now, we also can show these different 7 strategies. I just happen to pick one. This is a free tool online to you, and before you get all wigged out and confused about, oh my gosh, I can't run a calculator and illustration, I'm all thumbs. Well, let me show you how easy this is. 3 inputs is all it takes, and then you can either print it off and take it to the client with you. You can email it to the client. You can call Brad at Premier and have him run it for you, whatever you wish. But let me show you the power of it. Let's say you met with a client and they want to put some money in, or you think they might want to put some money in the real estate strategy. Let's show them what it might look like. First input, you pick the product. I picked the SE version, the 10-year version, one with a little bit higher fee for really high caps and rates. I picked the strategy, in this case real estate, and I picked the premium, $100,000, and voila, I put those 3 things in and this pops up. What does it show me? Well, it shows me hypothetically if we back test how it would have done in an up market, a down market, the last 10 years, and oh, by the way, the minimum guarantee, which is that bottom row there in kind of a yellowish fade, tannish fade color. So it basically sets a somewhat of an example or expectation, given the past, how other people's money may have done, if they would have started 10 years ago. So I think it's just a really handy little tool. We have these for any strategy, any of the products. By the way, all of these numbers you're looking at are net of any of the fees I talked about. That optimizer fee, this is after all fees have been paid. Now the risk control, this is all the buzz in our industry right now, this low volatility index. This is ours. It's the 2-year S&P 500 risk control, driven by a participation rate. It's uncapped. It kind of moves with the S&P, so it captures the upside but insulates against the downside because it has a volatility index. And a 10% volatility control is the key here. That's why I highlighted it. The bigger the volatility control number, the better, basically. So if you've got a product that has a 7% or a 4% volatility control, that will underperform in the market compared to a 10% volatility control. So there's 2 pluses here. First of all, we have such a high participation rate. In fact, right now it's up to over 110% on a version of the product. But they're able to offer higher participation rates, higher performance for the consumer because, again, it insulates the carrier somewhat from volatility. This option is on sale to the carrier, basically, if you want to think of it that way. And they share some of those savings with the consumer in the forms of a higher participation rate. Maybe a picture is a better way to kind of show how this works. The pinkish color here is the actual S&P from 2000 through 2014. The dark blue is this strategy, this risk control strategy. And as you can see, one agent explained it this way: we take away the grand slams and we take away the strikeouts, and you kind of get everything in the middle, kind of a baseball analogy. But that's kind of what it does. It takes out the highs and the lows, but if you look at this graph, it kind of tracks with the S&P, and starts around the same point, ends about the same point. So remember, I'll back up a slide here. You're getting 110 up to 110% of whatever this index does. Think about that for a second. Over 100% of the S&P 500, taking out the peaks and the lows via this volatility index, low volatility. That's remarkable. Other strategy choices. Remember, there's 7 of them. Well, we have gold. Again, I see that as kind of a hedge. Maybe 5 or 10% of the money is in gold. Especially with seniors, there's sort of an affinity to gold. They can grasp what it is. We have that inversion strategy. So if your client thinks the market's going to correct, put some money in that strategy, because when it goes down, they'll go up. And if they're really not sure what to do, well, we have a 3-year blended strategy, which throws a lot of, it uses the gold, the real estate, and the S&P. Those 3 mixed together. And after a 3-year period, it puts half your client's money in whichever was the best performer. So it's a little bit of each. Now, $10,000 is all it takes to start an account on Liberty Bar, qualified or non-qualified. We'll accept just about any kind of money, traditional IRA, Roth IRA, SEP IRA, even an inherited IRA. That's that stretch IRA that's been stretched. We'll actually do the admin on that for you. A lot of carriers don't take that money. No MVA to worry about, and again, it has a true 5x5 annuitization option for the just in case or the what ifs in life. So obviously, Liberty Mark, who's it for? It's for people that want to accumulate money in a hurry. No income rider. It offers protection of their assets and a strong minimum guarantee. Certainly an alternative to maybe a bond portfolio. A lot of brokerage accounts, the broker tends to put the safe money in bonds. I'm not sure that's a good idea in this low interest rate environment when you can have options like this with Liberty Mark. Now, my sales idea around Social Security, how about this one? Let's say you meet with a 60-year-old and you suggest they buy the 10-year Liberty Mark. Remember, it has a 5x5 annuitization option. So they buy at 60, they hold it for 5 years till they're 65, and then they annuitize it for the next 5 years, which pushes them out to age 70. Then they claim Social Security when their benefit with them is maximized. Now, same thing holds true for a 55-year-old if you're meeting with someone younger. Buy the 10-year product, hold it the whole 10 years until they're 65. They're going to get that back-end bonus of 10% in the 10th year, remember? Now they got a whole pile of money at age 65 and just spend some of that money for 5 years until they're 70 and then claim Social Security. Another way to defer and maximize and bridge that gap until Social Security kicks in. So a lot of uses with Liberty Mark. Comp is really darn good too. I mean, here's all the versions of the product, and again, there's the different compensation level. Remember, it's full commissions to age 80, and 1% less for an 85-year-old. We actually pay a 7% commission on an 85-year-old on the 10-year version of the product. So pretty generous compensation here on one of our best-selling products. So I'm going to wrap that commentary up. That's our Liberty Mark series of products. As I mentioned, it's our second bestseller overall, but it's our most rapidly growing seller. It's gaining momentum quickly. I'm going to shift gears here and close on our best-selling product. It's called Legend Mark. We created this for F&G. And it again is the product, as I alluded to earlier, that does both accumulation and provides an incredible income rider all in one product. So if you're tired of these low caps and rates and looking for some good news in an otherwise, dismal environment, Legacy has great news. Now, before we get into how the product works, this one also incorporates a fee to buy all these upgrades. Now, here's the difference. In this product, the fee is 1%. It's a little bit lower fee. It's just 1%. And the fee is optional, and the fee is per strategy. It's not per the total account value. So you can have one strategy with the fee and one strategy in the product without the fee and mix and match and come anniversary time, change it up. Because it's optional, you can change it at anniversary, and the fee is per strategy. So what does this all lead to? Well, not only great accumulation and great upside and great income, makes for a great annual review conversation. I mean, your client should meet with you to decide if they're going to do the fee again in the subsequent years. Now, how do you position this fee in either of these products? Well, maybe tell a story. I like telling a story that what you're doing, ladies and gentlemen, is you're just buying an upgrade. And think about other things in life where you buy upgrades. How about when you buy or lease a car? Do you get the base model? Probably not. Most people buy, some added features or a mid-level kind of design of a car, intermediate or whatever. Same with cable TV. Very few people, I think, have the starter plan. That's $19.95 a month. Most of us pay like $200 or $300 a month, it seems like, for cable television. So we're used to, as a society, buying upgrades and paying for something we perceive to provide value. Same thing holds true for these annuities. Now, legend mark, caps and rates, this is going to scare you. Sit down, you might want to absorb this for a second. And these are current December caps and rates. On the left is the 10-year version of the product. I'll start with the top one, the monthly cap. If you don't want to pay a fee, the monthly cap is 2.1. If you'd like to pay a 1% fee, the monthly cap is 3%. Move over to the right side of the page. That's the 14-year surrender charge version of the product. Same story. No fee, the cap is 2.1, but with a fee of 1%, now you've got over a 3% monthly cap. It's actually 3.1%. And this is going down the list there. We got annual point-to-point with a cap. I got a cap as high as 8%. Or the declared rate on gain. That's some people call it a performance trigger. How that works is if the S&P is up any amount, you get X. And in this case, X is up to 6%. Again, S&P moves at all, you get 6%. S&P goes down, you don't lose a penny. I just love that declared rate and gain strategy. For a lot of folks, especially simple folks that just have CDs, you're trying to beat the bank, almost impossible these days not to be able to beat the bank. Now the income rider, here's the other half of the story. Your client receives the greater of 5% roll-up for 10 years. You all know how that works. Think of that as the minimum guarantee on the income, or this thing we call performance value. Client gets the greater of the two. They don't select one or the other. They just get whatever's bigger when they're ready for income. Now, what is performance value? Well, it's all of the deposit, 100% of the premium bonus, either 7 or 8% bonus, all of the gains over the years until they're ready to turn on income. Then we take all that money, all their money, times a multiple. And the multiple is as high as 150%. It's that sliding graph on the bottom. If they turn on income in year 5, it's all their money times 125%. If they turn on income in year 10 or later, year 11, year 12, it's all their money times 150%. So that in itself is a huge deal. But I think that if you think through this for a moment, if you want to work with a younger client, a pre-boomer, pre-retiree, wow, think about a 50-year-old. And you're going to talk about values out, 15, 20 years from now. The client has that option to hold all of their cash, all the gains, all the growth, 15, 20, 30 years, and then say, hey, I'm ready for income. And we take all of that pile of money times 150%. I mean, most income riders roll up for 10 years and then they're done. They don't get any bigger. Ours does. Ours allows you to determine when you want to turn on income and how big you want it to be. The other thing, remember how big those caps and rates are? Well, that's great from an accumulation point of view. But think about this. It's also great because it determines how big your check is in retirement, because the income rider is a function of the account value. Do you get that point? That's very critical. All of your money times a multiple means you want to have a lot of money. You want to have big caps and rates, and it has both. So let's look at an example. Client starts with $100,000. They have an 8% premium bonus. Let's just say over the next 10 years, the account value doubles, just for giggles. Goes from 100 to 200. They say, I'm ready for income. It's year 10. Turn it on. Well, we take their 200,000 times 1.5, which now is 300,000. That's their income base. And we pay that out to them for the rest of their life, a payout factor of $300,000. So remember I talked about the rule of 115? You probably know the rule of 72. If your money grows at 7.2%, it doubles in 10 years. The rule of 115 talks about money tripling. In fact, this client started with $100,000. 10 years later, in exchange for income, it's $300,000. It tripled, right? that means they got an 11.5% return each and every year. And that's when your money triples to 100 to 300. So that's the rule of 115. You haven't heard that one before? Let me share with you, I got this from a producer in California. I thought it was just fantastic. When he meets with people and talks about income, this is his line. He says, Mr. Miss Client, if I could guarantee you a paycheck in retirement equal to or larger than the one you bring home every Friday now, how would you feel? Now think about that. Let that sink in for a second. The emotion of that statement. You know, how would you feel? I could guarantee paycheck. Think about someone that's middle American, works in a plant or a job where they get paid every week or every other week, and they pretty much depend on that check. And now they're thinking about retiring, and they know that check's going to stop. Can you imagine the fear, the anxiety? And you come in and say, you know what? How about if I guarantee you that check, maybe even a bigger paycheck, for the rest of your life? How would you feel about that? Relieved? I just think that's huge. So you might want to jot that one down or use it. You're free to do that. Now, I just want to show you a couple examples of some ads that are free to use on our website that show some of these things. This one talks about the roll-up rate. The industry average roll-up rate is a little over 6. With LegitMark, you get the greater either 5 or whatever it rolls up to in a low market or a high market or the last 10 years. And I hate to use the high end, but almost an 11% roll-up rate we can actually illustrate today because that's what the high market would have been in the last 20 years. The other thing we can show is these payouts. That in the middle there it says the traditional income rider at age 75. The payout is somewhere between $10,000 and $11,500 depending on the carrier and the income rider model. Well, our worst case, our guarantee is almost $9,800. And then go up into the black box there. We can illustrate it at $11,000, $13,000, even almost $17,000 because the caps and the rates are so high, and it's a function of the account value. And then just very recently, we've added even more to this product. LegitMark now offers an income doubler. This is news. I mean, this just happened 2 weeks ago, I believe. So everything I just shared with you about LegitMark, now if your client gets sick or hurt and can't do 206 ADLs, we double their payment, their check every month or every year for a period of time. And on top of that, you're getting up to 8.5% commissions. So this is really big news. This is a product for F&G where all those commission increases occurred. It's got accumulation, it's got income, it's got a doubler in the event of health. The body goes out before they do. It's terrific. We've got other pieces that talk about the power of the payout. It gives some examples here of if it would have grown by 2, 4, 5, 6%, what would your payout be? We got this monthly point-to-point, harness the power of that. Some agents, even consumers, are confused about what is point-to-point monthly. We're at 3.1%. That's really high. Show me an example of how that might work. And an example there on the right. Now, I talked about that declared rate on gain, where I just think that's really, really cool and often overlooked. Basically, the story here is that we can appeal to someone that's bullish, bearish, or doesn't know what to do, and maybe chicken. If your client is bullish, I think the market's going to go up. Certainly that month with LegitMark, or that year, I should say, with LegitMark, they should incorporate the fee. Use the fee. It's optional, remember, but maybe you want to do it then because you're getting higher caps and rates. Conversely, if your client is bearish and they think the market's going to decline or correct, take a year off. Don't pay the fee. You'll get slightly lower caps and rates, but the market's going to go down anyway. Who cares in your mind? Or if you don't know what to do, maybe a little of both, or use that declared rate on gain. And again, the declared rate on gain, how that works is right in front of you here. If the S&P goes up any amount, depending on what version of the product, you get up to 6% that year. Okay? Question may come up, well, how does that compare to bank products? Pretty darn good. The next question might be, well, how often has the S&P gone up since the beginning of time? Well, about 3 out of every 4 years, it has a positive gain year over year. So, simple sells. I mean, I think that's one of the simplest strategies available today to explain to a consumer, especially a senior citizen, where, you know what, if the S&P index goes up any amount, you get X. It's 4 or 5, 6, whatever it is, you're going to get that. And most years it tends to go up. So I just love that one. Even compare that to whatever product you're selling today that has an annual cap. If you're selling a product with an annual cap of 4, well, the S&P would have to go up at least 4 to get 4. That's as much as you're going to get. With mine, if the S&P goes up a nickel, you get 6. I mean, that's remarkable. So get it while it's hot. You know, this increase on all F&G products of 50 basis points on commissions is for a limited time. I'm thinking it might go through first quarter of 2016. The product I'm talking about now, the Legend Mark, there are your commissions at street level on the bottom half, depending on the age of the consumer. They're very, very good, up to 8.5% commissions. So with that, I ran a couple minutes over, but I had a lot to cover. If you have questions, please do call Brad or his friends there at Premier Life and Annuity. 800-365-8208 is the phone number. Again, it's 800-365-8208. Don't all call at once or you'll blow up their phone lines, but I'm sure you may have some questions because I went over a lot of material pretty quickly. Another option, of course, is you could call Legacy. We have a sales team that's also able to assist at 800-395-1053. That's the toll-free number to Legacy. Our sales desk is extension 4002, or just ask for the sales desk. Again, I'll back up. Here's Premier's phone number, 800-365-8208, and Legacy is 800-395-1053. With that, happy holidays to one and to all. Appreciate everything you do for us at Premier and also at Legacy. Make it a great week, great holiday, great day. Happy selling. Thanks so much. Have a great day.